Sorry I'm late.
It's the queen! Run!
She's not a queen anymore. She's nothing more than an evil witch.
No. Don't stoop to her level. There's no need. You're wasting your time. You've already lost. And I will not let you ruin this wedding.
Oh, I haven't come here to ruin anything. On the contrary, dear. I've come to give you a gift. We want nothing from you. But you shall have it. My gift to you is this happy day. But tomorrow my real work begins. You've made your vows, now I make mine. Soon, everything you love, everything all of you love, will be taken from you forever. And out of your suffering will rise my victory. I shall destroy your happiness if it is the last thing I do.
Okay, let's start with my favorite character from Once Upon a Time, the Evil Queen, also known as Regina Mills. So Regina is the ruler of the Enchanted Forest, um, and she actually became the Evil Queen due to a lot of different things with her mother, who's very manipulative, Cora. And actually, I am not a fan of Cora. Even after she kind of made things right, I just, Anyway, so her mom pretty much corrupted her a lot, her and Rumpelstiltskin. But it all started when Snow White told Regina's secret to Cora, which was that she was in love with a stable boy named Daniel. And Cora's like, nope, no stable boy for my daughter. So she unalived Daniel, and that kind of got it. I guess Regina started on kind of that path to darkness. Okay, so Regina casts this curse. The curse then takes everyone in the Enchanted Forest to a town called Storybook, where they don't have any memories of who they actually are, and they kind of live the lives that Regina made up for them. So let's get started on her personality. So Regina is her openness to experience is moderate to high. Even when you go back to before she was like evil, she was kind of open to trying something new. Even with her being open to Rumpelstiltskin teaching her. Um she wasn't just the kind of go with the flow type. Even though her mother still found a way to manipulate her, she was still able to kind of rebel in her own way. And as the series went on, I think she did a great job at kind of becoming even more open and willing to kind of understand other people's point of view and see that she has a thing or two to learn, especially from her son, which I love their relationship. I'll get into that a little bit later. She has high consciousness. If it's not like if she's not super emotional, if her emotions aren't like super tied to it, because you know, going back to I think season 3 where they were in when they were in Neverland, and she just was not thinking about, the consequences of what Pan was saying when they had the map, and she just wanted to use her magic, or even go kind of back in the beginning of that when they were on their way to Neverland, and she's just like, taking the mermaid and doing that stuff and making things worse. And it's because she just was not in her right state of mind. She was um super emotional, which is understandable, of course, because that's her son. However, she typically has a more disciplined and organized and methodical way of doing things. I mean, look at how she ran Storybook. Okay. So I think the Evil Queen is charismatic. And I think it's about moderate to high because And actually, maybe now that I'm thinking about it, it's probably more of the evil queen, her evil queen side that was more charismatic because when we go back to how Regina was, she seemed kind of like timid in a way, maybe. And I guess that could have something to do with her being younger, her younger self, but I get that she was a little bit more timid, a little more reserved, a little more introverted. So, and I think her kind of grandiose and more extroversion came out when she kind of got in her angry bag. She has low agreeableness, and then later on, she kind of moves to middle high. Okay, so I think that she is very neurotic. You know, she has super tense emotions, like prone to jealousy, which, I guess that runs in the family with Zelina. She has high insecurity, guilt. She struggles with, like, I think the main thing that she said is like she wants the love of the people. Now, of course, this is before Henry, and we know like Henry is the apple of her eye, but she just, I think that whole with, her talking about she wants the love of the people, I think that kind of ties to her abandonment or not wanting to be abandoned. It's kind of, I know I'm kind of still thinking about that one because when we think about like her core wound, it's more so that she is unlovable, or if she wants to, the only way she can be loved is if she's in control, and that control came a lot with her power, with the power that she had, trying to will it among the people, saying, if you give me Snow White, or if you don't give me Snow White, I'm gonna unalive y'all. And I think even her trying to, you know, um, like tell everyone that Snow White is, she did this and she just did that, trying to ruin her name, and it just didn't work. And Regina, she could never understand why do they love her. And that's that jealousy part. And that, I really think that's what drove Regina to really want to end Snow White. I think, yes, it started as her hate grew because she lost the love of her life. But it just, I mean, because, Cora is the one that did. I know she got Cora back in her own way, but her going after Snow White, I think some things kind of changed to where it started out as hate for what she did, but I think that that was just the reason. It was the fact that people loved her so much, and Regina just could not capture that love for anything. And I think she personalized that. And so, a lot of her coping mechanisms was using magic for fear and power, which she got from her mom. And once she started to, Henry is the real reason, she actually started to stop and see herself in Henry and remember, like, I don't want to be my mom. So Henry was such a blessing. And they do say like kids can help you heal your like wounds, your childhood wounds. So I actually did see that with Henry. Like she struggled so bad. Um, I'm going back to when she tried to when she tried to, I guess, blow up the, what was that, a well, when they thought it was a possibility that Cora could come back to story book instead of Emma and Mary Margaret. And she was, grappling with like, if I destroy this, it will be beneficial for me either way, whether it's Emma and Mary Margaret, two birds, one stone, or if it's her mom, like either way, that'll be a win. But her son like got through to her in a way that I don't think Regina could have gotten through to her mom. And maybe that has something to do with her still having her heart in her chest. I don't know. But I think that's very interesting. So now let's get to Regina's attachment styles. I think that she is fearful avoidant. She craves love and she wants that connection, but she pushes people away. And it's just crazy because even when she wanted that affection from Graham in season one, which she essayed him, sorry, trigger warning, horrible. I don't have any excuses for that. I don't, it's just it's a very awful thing. I mean, she was an awful, awful person, her character. And, but we did see, like with Graham, how she had to have his heart. You know, she couldn't risk them just falling for each other. She had to control him to make him want her. And I think that stems from her mom. You know, she was yeah, just pretty much stems from her mom, and then seeing her relationship with Henry, like there was a shift. Even when she first adopted Henry, and then they go back and they show us how she took the memory potion, like she knew that she struggled so badly, so she did something about, like she took something so she could be there for her son. And I think in hindsight now, that was like our first, even though it took her, some time because she was acting a fool when Emma got there, but that was her first step to change when she did that, because she knew she had to do something for him so she could be better for him. So he didn't have to have the same type of mother that she had, she didn't want to be her mom. And so I think that's just a beautiful thing to watch. I think some of her coping mechanisms were, control, of course, manipulation. Um, she explosive outbursts, she would get so angry. Magic was her way to solve everything. And I don't know, I remember watching when she first I think it was the book maybe that Rumpelstiltskin gave her or something, or maybe she was talking to her dad, but she was saying how she did not want to be like her mother, and she tried to fight it. She really tried to fight it, but unfortunately, she did fall into the same kind of the same things that her mother did in a different way. But she also got the chance to come out of it and, be a much better person. And we saw her struggle. I think that Regina is kind of what we can look at as redemption in a way, because she really redeemed herself. I mean, there was even a point in time where she just kind of accepted the bad part of life, because there's good and bad. Like, you will not just get every single thing you want in life. Everything will just not go your way automatically. We are not like chosen. We are just people. And we all have something unique and beautiful to bring to the table. However, you will have bad days, you will have bad moments. You sometimes, we go through bad seasons. And I think Regina, when she was just kind of not getting what she wanted, and she felt like it was just disappointment after disappointment, she accepted that, and she just, she kind of accepted it as, I'm a villain, so I don't deserve good things. And I'm so happy that that mindset changed, especially when um Emma lost her powers, and Henry is like, I believe in you, I believe in you, you can beat the Wicked Witch. And so she does somehow, her light magic comes through. She, they win that battle, and I think it was the Wicked Witch, and she's like, how, or something, or you're no hero or something, and then Regina's like, I am today. And I thought that was so beautiful, because even with everything she's done in the past, she let it all go. She forgave herself. And once she forgave herself, she was able to be in her light, step into her light, and she overcame. And I thought that was very beautiful. And we saw something similar, before, where she was, like I said, still struggling, but she definitely still chose the right thing to do. And I think she enjoyed choosing the right thing, Um, I think she enjoyed it after a while. And I wonder if it was because I'm just in my mind, I'm trying to think of why Rumpelstiltskin just could not, move into his light, what it was. And I wonder if it had something to do with his those strings being cut, his destiny being cut, or yeah. And so I wonder if that has something to do. But anyway, I went on a tangent, sorry. Okay, so Um, when we meet Regina, her starting point, she's very power driven, and she's focused on revenge. Yes, she's a ruler of a nation or of the Enchanted Forest, but she is hell bent on getting revenge on Snow White. or that's what she thinks she wants to do. And even going back to when she was about to be executed for what she did, she there was so much disgust. Like she was so angry when she was talking about all the things she regretted. And she was like, and most of all, what she regretted the most was that she couldn't end Snow White. And there was so much anger, like so much anger. I could feel it. It was disgust too. Like her mouth started curling up. Y'all have to go back and watch that. Her mouth was literally curling up from the disgust. And in my opinion, I believe that when they put the blindfold back on her and she kind of did this thing where her mouth was open, I felt like that was a sign of relief, like it was finally about to be over. And so, side note, another small tangent. I do not think that Snow White is as good as she appears to be, and I will get into that when I talk about Snow. But I think she saw the relief on Regina's face when she thought like she was about to be done and she stopped it. And like I know we're supposed to see that and say like at the last minute she felt like, oh, I have to spare her, but I do not get that at all. I got that she saw her being relieved and she's like, no, no, not on my watch. And the reason I'm saying this is because um, the reason I'm saying that Regina felt relief is because if we go back to when Tinkerbell was like you when you fell off when she fell off her roof and Tinkerbell implied that it was on purpose and of course Regina denied it, but I do believe that it was on purpose and I think she's has not wanted to be alive for a little time now. Just my opinion. And like I said, that was relief on her face. But of course, it didn't happen. And she did do a little smile. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Like I don't know. Y'all tell me what y'all think. I'm very curious to know other people's opinions on that. Um, okay, so she starts, like I said, very power driven. She just wants Snow's head. She don't want nothing else. But we see she becomes the good queen towards the end. Super ambitious. She prioritizes her loved ones and she revels in doing the right thing, and giving people like herself chances, which is another like dynamic because, and I know that Snow and Charming had their own reasons for not wanting Maleficent um and Ursula and Corella kind of in Storybook. But I think that they are also because they're supposedly like good, morally high standing, they are not as open to letting people who they deem as bad in versus Regina because she has been on both sides. Like she understands how bad it can get for people who decides to do what we see as the wrong thing every chance they get. She kind of can understand that, which this is kind of little side note. I think with therapists, when therapists have been through certain experiences, like if they've been through foster care or if they've been just through certain traumatic experiences, I think they are able to connect with those clients who have been through those same things much better and I don't think that you have to have experienced these things. There are a lot of great therapists, great social workers, great coaches that help people who have experienced all sorts of things. I just do think that when you do have those kind of that background and that type of experience, you will be able to help people a little more just because you can literally identify. Now, of course, everyone goes through different, two people can go through the same situation and have different outlooks on it. But I think when you don't have to try to put yourself in someone else's shoes, you already know what it was like for you in that situation. I think that it can be very helpful. Okay. So I think if Regina was looking to kind of do some self-reflection. I think that I would say she has some PTSD. She has some narcissistic tendencies. She's very grandiose, the control, the image management. Um, I would say very narcissist. I wouldn't say a narcissistic personality. I would just say narcissistic tendencies. But we do see how she evolved. I mean, this is my favorite character, like I said in the beginning. So, and the main reason that she is my main character in this series is because, or my favorite character is because we can literally like see how healing is not a linear process. I mean, she went back and forth between trying to do the right thing and then she kind of went back to wanting to get what she wanted. And in the end, I'm so happy that her resilience pushed through and she realized, like, no, I can do this. I do deserve this. I don't have to manipulate the situation for me to get what I want. And she didn't. She got her son's love authentically. She found the love of her life. Again, she found another love of her life, Robin Hood, which, I mean, I just uh, don't even get me started on how that ended. Heart completely broken. I can't believe they did that to her. I mean, watch him be obliterated is insane. They obliterated this man. Like they made sure that she was not getting him. If it was the last thing they did. So I just, yeah, that hurt me, not gonna lie. But I guess I'm kind of satisfied because the evil queen got him and Regina got to be the good queen of all the realms, which I think is also a beautiful thing because she wanted the love of the people. And so, and Daniel was always just I think she kind of accepted that it was Daniel or no one, and then Henry was enough. I think her finding Robin Hood was a beautiful thing, and I'm happy she got to experience that. But I got the feeling that she would be okay either way. Especially we see how she kind of was when Henry got a little bit older, especially in season 7, which I know a lot of people talk trash, but that is my favorite season. I love Nook. Even though I love Hook too, but Nook was much better. I love Ronnie. I love season 7. I mean, it put everything together for me. Okay, so that was my little tangent, but back to Regina, her character can teach that redemption is possible and love is power. You cannot just avoid the pain. And this is bringing me back to when she was trying to bury her heart in the woods and Snow came and was like, "No, like you're gonna get through this with your heart in your chest." And I love that she because it was so painful and I like that Snow came and just kind of talked to her and let her know like, yes, it's awful, but you will get through it. And I'm so happy that she did with her heart in her chest. And also when she separated herself from the evil queen, I think that a lot of times we may have like these negative or things we see as negative attributes, or even just we didn't like how we reacted to this situation, whatever it is, right? And we just try to stuff those parts that we don't like about ourselves down and stuff them until they pop up. They cause problems for us, right? What we stuff down causes problems, and we see that with her trying to get rid of the evil queen, as if stuffing it down. But the evil queen came back and was like, "I got something for y'all." She came and she showed up and she caused them problems. And so I think when we think about it in the real world, it's like this just is just like a symbol or an example of we cannot get rid of our darkest selves in that way. We have to delve into our shadow side and understand why our shadow side exists and what's in there and why. We should understand ourselves even if it hurts, and even if you come up with the conclusion that you did overreact in this situation, or maybe it wasn't what you thought, or maybe you feel embarrassed or just ashamed. It's like you cannot hold it against yourself. It's like, yeah, maybe I misstepped And that's okay because you're human. We're all human. And so you can misstep and you can forgive yourself for it. Now, other people, they do not have to forgive you, just like you don't have to forgive other people. But it's not necessarily about what other people feel about you or think about you. It's what you think about you and how you feel about yourself. And if you are that type of person who kind of thinks back on situations and just like, I hate that I react that way, or I just dislike that I'm constantly doing this, it's like, show yourself some grace. Accept that this is maybe a trait that you don't like. And I believe that it would help to talk some things out with people because it could be that you are around people who are not, don't have your best interest at heart. So maybe you're reacting to these things because the people around you, everyone is different. So I can't really give it a broad stroke. But what I can say is that it is okay to be nice to yourself, even if you feel like you've messed up something. Like you still can be nice to yourself. It doesn't take away from, okay, sometimes I mess up here, sometimes I do that. And I think that watching Regina, it kind of gives me that because it was at one point in time when they were looking for the author, I'm a villain. She was listening to Rumpelstiltskin. I'm a villain and villains don't get happy endings. And she just kind of accepted that, but villains can get happy endings because Regina got a happy ending. And so I hope no one's viewing themselves as the villain, but, just give yourself just give yourself some grace. It's okay. It's okay that you're not perfect. It's okay that we're not perfect, you know? Um, but I think that's all I have to say about the good queen, Miss Regina Mills. Thank you guys, and see you next time.